All right, so 7:02, we'll call the meeting of the August 21st, 2023 Cable Oversight meeting to order. And we're holding the meeting under the governor's mandates of 2019 due to COVID. So the first thing we will do is take attendance to make sure that everyone can hear me. Mr. Hassinger,
I'm here.
Mr. Berger,
Here.
Mr. Wyman,
Here.
Mr. McCavey.
Here.
And Mr. Molesky.
Here.
Okay. All in attendance. So first thing on the agenda tonight is allowing our new member, Mike, to introduce himself and just give us a thumbnail sketch before we go into the meat and potatoes of the agenda. It's all yours, Mike.
All right. Good evening. What I say about myself: 20 years retired military, lived in Grafton since 2008. Currently a program manager for Raytheon Technologies, working in the aerospace sector. For our camera goes on the front of the U-2, which is a high altitude plane. So it's what I currently work on is make sure that the systems operation in performance with the contracts. So I am a contractor for the Department of Defense.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. Okay, next up on the agenda is public input, and I don't see anyone other than us. Go ahead, Mr. Hassinger.
Yeah, I don't see it elsewhere. We talked. I talked before about the Whitney Park project and us helping put Wi-Fi in there. I don't think I reported. I think it's since the last time I reported that I met up with the contract people and we went out and I showed them the places and they seemed to think was going to work out pretty well, better than I had hoped. So
yeah, I thought you might chime in on that topic. I spoke to the town administrator and asked about John Allen coming to us and asking for assistance, and he informed me that he had asked John to reach out to some contacts that he had in the Boston, Cambridge area who did exactly the same type of project. And then, of course, processing video, I saw you and Mr. Robbins on the IT committee discussing the subject. So we left it off knowing that it's currently in your hands. And so when the IT committee makes a decision that requires us to jump in, we will do so.
I'm on 3 bodies and all 3 of them have a hand in this one. Okay, planning board was the name on the whatever it is, money proposal. IT committee knows something about this stuff, and the cable committee has money that would appropriately go to it.
Right.
So
the topic will probably show up in future agendas.
Yeah. It's looking good. So far, it's looking good.
All right, next item is minutes review for the July meeting. And we are going to postpone that till the next meeting so that Corson can distribute them to the members.
If I may add, yes, except for the fact that in this past July meeting, we talked about putting off discussing the previous meeting minutes for April, May, and June. So you want to do 4 of them next month? Is that what you're saying?
No, we'll do the ones that, let's do the ones that we can do. Please and thank you. Did everybody have a chance to review them, or should we push them off? Hearing no input. Okay, I guess we're going to push them off, Corson.
Okay, one thing for clarification of the minutes, the email that has hurricane,
that's Mike.
It is you, Mike. Okay, all right. And do we have Paul any longer?
No, he's long gone.
Okay, just to be clear.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
We have 6 members?
Correct.
And So is there a request out for a seventh member?
I can ask the TA's office. I know I saw that request was made, but I don't know if it's been, I don't know
Yep.
how it's been handled.
Okay.
All right, next up is the treasurer's report, Mr. Berger, with the new and improved data that we've all been looking for.
Tell me when you can see the screen.
And see the screen.
Okay. So I was kind of late on getting this out. I wanted to get it over the weekend, but I did not get the report till this morning. So this first page is the revenues that we have brought in, and you can see that it's last fiscal year, but that's what we're working off right now because we have not received any payments on this fiscal year. So this report is still good. We have brought in. We have $1,119,335.06. That's what we've brought in on our last fiscal year 23. Then we go to the next page, and this is the way the reports are going to look from now on. These account numbers and these names are our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts that we expend money from. The last 2 out of this spreadsheet is our last payment for our bond for the new studio that Bob's in. So as you can see, we allocated 124,000 for salaries and 69,000 for services and energy, so on and so forth. Then the next item is how much we've expended. And then what we have in the ending balance. And this is year to date on what we have left under percentages. That's how you read this line. If you have any questions, let's talk about it now before I go on. Bob, do you have a question on that?
You said somewhere here, you have the final payment on.
Right? Can you guys see my mouse here, or is that just me?
Yeah, I can see
I
it.
can see that.
Okay, so this is 125,000.
Right.
That's our last payment for the bond that we took out for the new studio, and this is the interest. So
Okay.
at the end of the year, June 30th, we will be spending those 2 amounts.
Okay, so that's not, I was thinking the last one, and then we're all paid. That's
We are all paid.
the most recent one.
No, this is it. This is our last payment this year.
Oh.
This year is our last payment, and it's just showing it right here.
So when will that be paid and removed from our?
That'll be June 30th. We will cut that check because
I
that's
think he's what he's
asking.
asking. I think what he might be asking is what year are we going to be paid off?
Well, is that like 10 months from now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then this line up here, the 150,000 has nothing to do with conference room F. This is Bob in the committee wanted some more money to upgrade, and that's it right there. I don't know where that noise is coming from, but it's annoying. Do you hear that, Bob?
I can hear that.
Okay, it was Michael. All right. So does anybody have any questions on this upper spreadsheet? No.
No.
So then we take our monthly expenditures, which we have spent this month alone, 13, well, not this month, but accumulated on this month. Because we're 2 months into it, we spent $13,951.83. We deduct that from what we brought in. So we have in our account right now $1,105,383.23. And the next 2 pages breaks down where we've spent that money, but I'm not going to even go there. That's something that we can talk about if anybody wanted to pick any item out of here. But that's the report I'm giving you. I did not include the $3,000 line item that comes from town meeting. That's part of our free cash, not our free cash, our budget. And maybe next month, I'll incorporate that like I did last time, and I'll put it down here just to keep a running tally, because at the end of the fiscal year, we want to expend that $3,000 on whatever we see fit to do with that money.
Right, because that money doesn't carry over.
That's right. That's right. And we did a pretty good job last year expending that money. So I will end up putting some sort of spreadsheet at the bottom just so we can keep an eye on it and track it. And that's my report to the committee.
Okay.
Yeah. The number I'm basically interested in is, what are we going to have after we finish paying the bond? And
you're gonna have a little less than $1 million, but you're still gonna have your $1 million, because
Okay.
we're gonna be bringing in another $366,000 by the end of the year. So you're probably gonna have you'll probably have $1.2, $1.3 million after we pay that all off.
really,
Mm-hmm.
that's more than I expected. Okay, well, that's good. We'll find ways.
There you go.
And that doesn't expire, right? It's good for
No.
a while.
No, that doesn't expire. That money is only allocated for cable purposes only. And this committee gives the recommendation to the select board on what we're going to expend the money on. So they're talking about putting Wi-Fi in some of the parks. And let's just say, for a number, it's going to cost $100,000. So we would give a recommendation to the select board that we would like to expend some of our cable funds to fund that project for access.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot less than that, but okay, yes.
It was a number that, I wanted Michael just to hear what we do and how we do it. In our budget for this year, so we all know, this year our budget is $565,228. That's our budget that we're trying to live with this year, which gives it gives us $150,000 of equipment upgrades, which we will talk about later in this meeting.
Bob, I don't know what committee it's under, but when we went around, I took him around to the common, and he was able to get into the bright, shiny metal cabinet where everything passes through. Seems to be an issue with it. Physically.
What type of issue?
The door doesn't lock, or even the latch doesn't keep the door locked. So anybody who wants to can go in there and mess. There's some thought that there was some damage done at some point. Well, that's what he thought. But anyway, be aware of that.
Okay, it's good to know. I'll check that out. Probably Parks and Cemetery probably have control over it, I'm thinking.
Oh,
I'll find out. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Berger and the new and improved report? Okay, seeing none, moving on to, oh, my turn, Charter Spectrum audio issues. So the technicians have continued to come to the studio, and we have reached a point where the supervisor and his two subordinates have come in, and they finally made an appointment and had access to someone at the head end up at the top of Potter Hill Road, who monitored all of their findings or adjustments on our end, and then they confirmed that the same was happening at Potter Hill Road. And then once they said, okay, we're all matching, everything's good, we went back into the main studio, connected up to our return feed, and sure enough, the problem still existed. The next step that the supervisor made was to set up an appointment where they had to contact the corporate engineers in upstate New York, who had the ability to remote into the system so that they could monitor. And they did find an issue. I haven't heard exactly back what they described the issue is, but they did find an issue. And they were saying that they had isolated it to the transmitters. And one of the things that they had done was taken out a single unit, which contained 3 transmitters, and replaced it with 3 individual transmitters dedicated to each of the 3 channels that we control. That was the first step to part of the solution. And so far, it seems as if the popping has gone away. I'd say probably 99% as we continue to monitor. And I know Mr. Berger keeps a close look at it too every once in a while. So we seem like we've hit the promised land as far as the popping is concerned. Our next challenge is going to be to try and find out why we have a reduced audio output from the main studio. If we were to go live from anywhere in town, the audio comes across without any issues. It's a strong output, and you can tell by looking at the VU meters. The audio, if we try to go live from the main studio, which would be most recently National Night Out, the audio remains kind of quiet and kind of low, almost whisper quiet. And Bill and I have tested it a number of times, and we tested it with the technicians when they were there most recently. So the next step is to consult with Danielle, who has been consulting all along. And for Mike's benefit, Danielle is our vendor who works for Oakers Corporation and who also is a former charter employee and worked very closely with all of us in Grafton. So she knows the operation front and back. So we're going to get her in there and see if we can come up with a solution to it. And then failing that, the next step would be to talk to our audio engineer who we've used in the past for problems in room A and room F. So we're pretty close to the end, and hopefully within the next 30 to 60 days, we can come up with a solution for that. And then we're good. We fixed all our problems.
Bob, can I add to that? Can I add to that?
Sure, why not?
So I walked into the studio when Bob was having the technicians there, and it seems that one of the corporate entities did not want to change the transmitter. And this was the Friday or the Thursday before. It was the Friday before National Night Out. And I asked Bob to call him on the phone, and Bob called him on the phone, and he introduced me as one of the committee members and the facilities manager. And I just told him outright, I'm done. I'm done. I get all the complaints about Charter. I get no complaints about Verizon. And everybody here is telling me that these transmitters need to be changed. I have a National Night Out on Monday. I know it's Friday at 1 o'clock, but I want those transmitters changed Monday morning. And if I don't have those transmitters changed Monday morning, hell is going to be paid, because I am not going to run my National Night Out the way we have it now. And I said, we'll get the attorneys involved and we'll all go in front of the select board. And then Monday morning, they came in to change the transmitters, but of course they had the wrong ones. So they had to come back on Tuesday and change them on Tuesday. But that's how we got where we are, because they for some reason, they didn't want to expend the couple $1,000s. And I told them, the money isn't the point. You guys told me we had to pay $70,000 to move a fiber when we moved our studio. I didn't even bat an eyelash. I don't care about that. We have the money. And with this problem, if it's money and somebody has to expend it, I don't care if we expend it. I just need good audio. I've been playing with this for 4 years now, and we're done. So I think he heard my frustration and he jumped on it. And this is why we're where we are right now. Of course, Bob's doing a great job, but I had to strong arm this guy to get where we are right now.
And it really was puzzling to find out why the technician didn't want to escalate it to the supervisor. The supervisor didn't want to escalate it to his supervisor. They didn't. Worcester didn't want to escalate it to upstate New York. It was just a comedy of errors. But fortunately, as I've said, we're very close to the finish line. So
I'm happy.
It's been a long road. Yeah, well, we'll be happy when it's 100% done. So
yeah, but I think the sound is 100% better. Yeah. I think the 3 channels are at the same level, but they just happen to be low. Right. So if you're on regular TV, 4, 5, and 7, your volume is probably at 12 to 18. But when you get to our higher channels, 191, 192, and 194, you're basically at 30 to 35. But it's not distorted. So we just got to get those levels up to match the regular broadcast.
That's not going to happen.
Then if it doesn't happen, I don't care.
They can match the 3 channels to each other, but they can't match it to broadcast television. That's what they told us.
Then if that's the norm, then I don't care, as long as
Then
we have good quality sound.
Then it's time to get our council involved.
They're involved right now.
Well, more involved. They're so lucky it was you, Bob, not me.
Well, we got to talk to Joe anyways, because Joe's coming up for conference room F, and maybe Joe can figure out, can we get the volume up with Danielle? And if they say no, or if they say it's still on Charter's side, then we'll get Bill to get back to John, because John jumped right on this and he gave us all the people. John is Spectrum's attorney. And once he realized we were having this problem, he called me right up on my phone and he asked what's going on. And then boom, things started rolling.
Let me jump in, Bob. So when the technician was there, the supervisor, I was led to believe that this audio level for the 3 PEG channels being lower than broadcast television is the norm, no matter where you are in the Charter universe. You could be in Grafton, you can be in Southbridge, that the PEG channels are always a level or 2 lower than broadcast television. Now we can pursue it, we can ask, and we can have Attorney August do some digging. But as of right now, I was told that it's the norm. So,
Well, I don't care if it's Charter's norm. It's wrong. They need to give us channels that are comparable to the rest of the system. So people trying to watch can switch between channels and not have to fool with their volume. That's just not acceptable. And it's I wonder if they have something where they save a little bandwidth by not having, for other uses on the system. Verizon doesn't seem to have this problem.
Nope.
Well,
Let's
I-
look into it.
I for one am not. You get what I mean.
Yeah, we'll look into it. I don't have a problem.
A continuing topic for
I want
future agendas.
I want them to know that they might have to hear from me. Don't have.
Okay.
All right.
Of course, it knows what
Any further comment on audio issues? Okay. Verizon license negotiation. Mr. August has been in contact with Mr. Berger and I, and he is having, I'm trying to find just the right word, he's having a fairly easy time dealing with Verizon. They are using a template that he has used before, and the 2 attorneys agreed to the format of the template and the wording. And then, of course, when it came back from the corporate attorneys, it needed to be fixed again because they changed things. So they are currently in the process of coming to agreement on verbiage, and they agree that our contracts in the past should not be radically altered going forward, and that the documents that they're currently working off of should stay the same. And so Attorney August is confident that we are getting closer to the finish line here. When we get to a document that he has ready for us to take a look at, that he's ready to sign off on, then we'll bring that forward to the committee. So Verizon continues to proceed, and we will do well with the agreement. Mr.
Doug,
Hasselhoff.
5 years.
Correct.
And you told us before about money, and you'll
Yes.
remind us when the time comes.
Yeah, Bill was very happy with the amount of revenue coming in from Verizon. They didn't appear to skimp in any way.
Hmm.
Any other questions on Verizon? Okay. Next topic. Proposed purchases. Mr. Berger has some ideas.
And my phone stopped ringing. So we're gonna need Mr. DeToma to come in with an estimate for some of the stuff that I'm looking for. I think we need to update our furniture at the studio. Not Bob's desk or everybody else's desk, but the furniture in the real room, in the studio.
Main studio.
Yeah. And Bob, this really should have been yours. It was my idea, but it's your needs.
Well, I didn't want to take any thunder away from you. It was your idea, so that's why I listed it under you.
Right.
Basically, what Bob's referring to is a piece of modular furniture that would serve the purpose of an interview desk. You might see on some of the other PEG access channels. I don't know if you've ever seen some of the other programs, notably Shrewsbury. They have a modular desk that's made up of a series of panels that can be arranged in any way. And so when you interview people in the main studio, you can set it up for a one-on-one interview, a host and 3 guests interview, and it is designed in such a way that there's no reflective surfaces coming back to the camera. It's just one of the products I've looked at. It's not necessarily the one that we're looking to get, but there are products out there. Before I go and get quotes, I'm going to talk to some of the other operations in the area to see if my colleagues have one or the other that they prefer. And I wouldn't be surprised if Danielle has some ideas about it too. One of the things that I noticed about the National Night Out broadcast is that I'm not a big fan of our knees and our hands being visible behind or below the table, because most people will wiggle a foot or wiggle a knee, or they're moving their hands, and it can be distracting on camera. So this is kind of in line with what Mr. Berger was proposing. And like he stated, we're not looking for new chairs or coffee tables. This is just strictly for studio use. Any questions?
Makes me think. Lately, I've been watching a bunch of YouTube and feeds from a number of networks. Like there's somebody interviewing somebody about Ukraine, and most of what I'm watching, and more than one of them are using something that looks like a plexiglass desk. It looks like the top of the plexiglass is about 2 inches thick, and the supports are just more plexiglass,
right?
So that there's no hiding anything. But I'm not absolutely sure that that's real, or it's all real, or whether in some of it isn't. More than blue screen, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The nice Lucite desk that they have there.
Well, I prefer to have our female guests on camera have a little bit more modesty than what you might see on TV there. So
anyway, I don't know whether you've seen the ones I'm talking about.
Oh, I have.
I spent about half my time trying to figure out how the desk is built, how the pieces are going together. Yeah. And I hate to think what 2-inch thick lucite in a desk, what, $10,000-$20,000 for a desk.
Crazy.
Any idea how much the thing you're talking about, Shrewsbury, goes for?
The last time I spoke to Mr. Serra in Shrewsbury, which was, I'm going to guess and say maybe 5 years ago, pre-COVID, we'll call it. I believe the setup that he used, they used to use it for the interview when the bishop came in. And I believe he said it was around $3,000. So again, that's pre-COVID. Who knows what it is now? But we'll get some numbers and figure it out and present it to the committee.
But you got to remember, we put in our budget for this year $115,000 for equipment upgrades. So it's like I want to spend that money in this fiscal year. And, I think that we should all put our heads together and get a laundry list of what we want Bob to go out and start figuring out what we should purchase. I don't think we need cameras. Maybe Bob does want more cameras. Maybe he wants, better microphones to put on, I don't know what you call the lapel microphones or
lavaliers.
The lavaliers. But, we put it in the budget for a reason. Let's expend it.
About the furniture part, years ago when I had to work a number of different trade shows where you had to pack everything up in these tubes, and you assembled it all, have a big backdrop in the back, and you assembled all these different things. Well, a lot of these trade companies that make all that kind of furniture, they make desks and other things that are actual functional desks that you could assemble, which end up in smaller boxes. But it's all modular material, and you could design and create the desks and other pieces however you like. So there is readily available pieces that are that you can easily assemble or disassemble, enlarge, or make whatever you need to. Similar to what Mr. Tomo was talking about. It's this modular piece, and you could get some really nice looking furniture that's designed that are show pieces, as it were, that look really good, and especially when they're going to be on camera.
Yeah, well, what Bob's doing is rather specific. You got to have your cameras, and you're trying to set up for a TV interview, not a trade show booth.
No,
So
but I'm saying they make
when Bob finds things, hopefully he can send us, files or links.
I'm just simply saying they make some things that are very similar in that respect, that are intended to be more modular and are very functional. They can be used that look really good because they're designed to be attractive for the sake of your booth, your display.
If you happen to have a link to any of those, Bob would like to.
Sure, I'll find some for you. I remember a number of them I worked with.
Our only concern would be the reflectivity of the furniture itself, because I know that the piece that Mark Serra talked about in the past has a almost a velour-like surface, so it reflects nothing.
I'm sure that they sell this furniture just for studios.
Yes, yes.
And that's where we should be concentrating
Right
on, that distributor.
Well, maybe the one who sells it to Access Studios, not the one who sells it to Channel 5.
That's fine.
We'll find out. We'll look at all the suspects and eliminate suspects as we go. And so, yeah, of course, and whatever you've got, send it along. Any other comments about proposed purchases? Okay. Access activity. The weekly sports report and bus stop weather will be starting up as quick as that, probably next week. The school will start up. Bill has continued to be the Pied Piper of musical groups in the area, and they continue to come into the studio. He has had, I think I've lost count, but I think he's had the jazz trio in at least 6 or 7 times for individual shoots. And Bill, being the personality that he is, he contacts or speaks to all of the performers who show up at concerts on the Common and invites them into the studio. Some people bite, some people look at him suspiciously, but the other day we had someone who had recently performed come in and tour the studio and had seen some of the productions that Bill had done that are currently available on YouTube. So they were thrilled to jump at the chance for their opportunity. So they will be coming in shortly. So that is the way that the studio is getting the most repetitive use. And then, of course, we are hoping that throughout the school year that more and more students will come across and want to participate, like our current pair, Sophia Kling and Ben Clements. So it's interesting to have someone much younger and much more energetic come into the studio than Bill and I. So that's all I have for studio activity.
Well, without me really talking about it, can you talk about what was produced for Metro West?
We have been, yeah, I can probably word it a certain way. We have been asked to assist charities from time to time with PSAs, and the Metro West building officials are one of those organizations that have asked for assistance, and we provided the studio, and Bill directed, and we set it up, and it was I think it was a 3-minute production, start to finish. And this is some of the things that people are becoming more and more aware of, what we can actually do in the studio. We have been approached by the Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association. The former tenants of the buildings we're in, and they're in South Grafton, and they from time to time contact us about producing PSAs for police use. So it's been a nice partnership to have people come in and seek us out. None of the things that we're doing are for commercial use. Obviously, a PSA is a PSA, and the folks who come in and do their productions for their musical groups are simply posting it on YouTube. So yeah, so any opportunity someone calls us up, I often tell people that when the phone rings and people say, "Can we do X?" I say, "Yeah, sure," and then we start having the conversation and just make certain that what they want to do is for charitable use and not for commercial enterprise. So hopefully we'll continue to keep that flow of people coming through the fall and into the winter.
The rules were producing for Grafton Access, originally. We haven't talked about any of this in ages, but
well, anything that we do as far as a PSA concerned, it can go on the public channel, which we will air, and then anything that we record and put on the public channel, we automatically put up to YouTube. So I think we're following the spirit of that, and we're not just sending people out the door with a copy and say thank you for your time.
but like the jazz groups, they presumably get something more than an ability to point to our YouTube channel. They get, would have been a tape at one time, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I believe that they get the same link that we send out to people when they want access to YouTube. So they use it in that way. So the starting point of the video that they are trying to show to their fans is directly linked back to us.
Yeah. Okay. It's not that they're going off and they could go post it other places.
No matter where they post it, it comes back to our YouTube channel.
Well, besides us uploading to our YouTube channel, it'd be possible for them to get some media with a copy of the video on it, technically, so that they'd be able to go put up their own YouTube channel and put it up on their channel.
It's conceivable they have a YouTube channel, but they're not leaving with a digital copy that they can upload. They have to.
And I don't know if there's a way to download from YouTube.
I'm sure there's, all you got to do is find a 12-year-old and you'll find a way.
Oh, well, you have to go that far.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 12. They're practically in high school by that point. No, junior high. Well, they don't have junior high. Okay, moving on.
Okay, coming up next. Proposed date for the next Cable Oversight Committee meeting is Monday, September 18th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. So anybody have any objections to that?
Good to me.
Let me
Hold on.
just
Bob's checking.
September 18th. Yes, that looks okay.
Okay, so be it.
The reason I was late was fighting through trying to find a clickable link for the Zoom. The way things are working now, some publications on the town website give a file in a format where the link is clickable. That was not the case here, and the chances of me typing in a 20-character code URL is limited. And
so using rich text format and posting the link, when I post it, it's a live link.
Where did you post the link?
Well, when I create the link, I copy and paste it directly to the document, and
right.
then
to the agenda.
Yes, correct.
And the agenda that's put up on the website is after the clerk stamps it and scans it, and it's an image. Now,
I was able to highlight it, copy paste it into I was able to copy it, highlight it, copy, and paste it into Microsoft easily.
Yeah, you might be using a modern browser or a modern OS. I'm on High Sierra on the Mac. And there's live text now in more modern versions, but I can't run that on.
So next month, Bob, when I send out the agenda, when I send the agenda to the members, if that link doesn't work, please let me know.
No, that link does work, but that's not what he's using.
Okay, all right.
I didn't find that.
Okay, all right.
But Bill Evans' assistant,
Okay,
William,
William. Well, he said Bill's okay. Anyway, he's had to fight with me and everybody on a lot of these things, so he may have a little more clue. I tried doing download HTML, but I was getting the scanned thing, and other groups do things differently. So, and there's a way to get Zoom, at least for some of the ways you schedule Zoom meetings. There's a way to get it to send the information to the people you want to send it to, right from Zoom. Now, I don't know webinar versus, whatever, they're different. Anyway, just someday I and that will get together.
so next month I'll send out the agenda and I'll also send out the actual invite from Zoom and see if that takes care of the issue.
do you know how to do that, Bob?
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. How difficult could it be?
I don't know. I don't know how to do it.
All right, any other comments on the next meeting?
No.
Okay. Items not, hold on, items not reasonably anticipated by the chairman 48 hours in advance, anyone?
That's you, Bob.
Okay, don't see anybody shaking, all right,
Movie adjourn.
there we go.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we will roll call. Mr. McCavey,
Aye.
Mr. Hassinger,
Aye.
Mr. Molesky.
Aye.
Mr. Wyman,
Aye.
Mr. Berger,
I object.
and the
And I
and the
don't.
chair votes aye. Okay, thank you, everyone.